Gender Bias During the English Witch Craze by Michelle Bruton. Narration by Michelle Bruton. The rise and great witch panics were all throughout the second half 16th and early 17th centuries. These panics were fueled by the Reformation. In the need to protect against the devil and demons, people began to search and execute witches. After announcing that Satanists in Germany were meeting with demons, casting spells that destroyed crops, and aborting infants, Pope Innocent VIII asked two friars to publish a full report on suspected witchcraft. These two friars wrote a book that set the basis regarding witches. Jacob Springer was the dean of Cologne University. His co-author, Heinrich Kramer, was the appointed inquisitor for several German provinces. Together, they wrote Malleus Maleficarum. This writing gained them the power to prosecute witches and became the witch hunting manual. Until 1678, this book sold more copies than any other book other than the Bible. This map shows the breakdown of the major areas of witchcraft persecution in Western, Central, and Northern Europe. During the outbreaks of witchcraft hysteria, mass executions and burning at the stakes caused kill rates to rise. In 1515, Geneva burned 500 accused witches at the stake, and in 1524, Italy had around 1,000 executions. Over the course of 160 years, Europe saw between 50,000 to 80,000 suspected witches executed. 80% of those were women. Suspects of witchcraft were sometimes weighed because it was believed that witches had little or no weight. As part of the water test, accused witches would be dragged to the nearest body of water, stripped to their undergarments, bound, and then tossed in to see if they would sink or float. Witches were thought to float as they would not have been baptized. The mark test would consist of suspects being stripped of their clothing and publicly examined for the devil's mark. One of the ways witches were executed was by being burned at the stake. Another execution method was hanged. As there were several methods, the totals were around 85% women, leaving only 1 or 2 women alive per village. This is the bar graph representing how many witches were executed per area. Germany by far had the largest total. Although the witchcraft craze lasted between 2 centuries, we can see here that it spiked around 1580 and again around 1620. William de Blécourt wrote Beyond the Witch Trials. He wrote that men were underrepresented by North Americans, even though material was available to support male witches constituted 20% or more of the accused. Debates have labeled witch hunting as woman hunting due to many of the accused did not fulfill the male view of how women should conduct themselves, and also that women were most blamed by other women of witchery. Rolf Schulte wrote Man as Witch, Male Witches in Central Europe, and stated that a female would be labeled a witch, however males were not a type of witch. He further states, the accusations against males reflected environment, economic, and materials conditions that males were directly associated with. In some regions, men were more likely acquitted than females. Rolfe stated men were allowed to have a feminine side. However, the female was not allowed to show a masculine quality. In the book Male Witches in Early Europe, Apps and Gall wrote that women were feared due to her ability to menstruate and become pregnant. They stated that male witches were downplayed, however, usually were related to panic of the masses. Men did not display female virtues, so they were not instantly viewed as witches. Only when they exhibited female tendencies did they fall suspect. Male witch suspects usually violated expectations of masculinity. Women were mostly accused of witchery as they were in charge of food preparation, which was viewed as dangerous. Town laws that limited overpopulation caused people to begin marrying late, which led to shorter reproduction time for women. Fertility became a driving rage for women, thus becoming a female battle. Women were believed to go to far measures to reproduce, and since males were not responsible for fertility, they did not have the need for witchcraft. Many women suffered the humiliation of being burned at the stake as a public event. In later years, the infamous Salem witch trials sparked attention, leading to Arthur Miller writing a play to cover those trials and the harsh accusations women faced. Witches have been written about in books such as C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, as the female is portrayed as a witch. The Harry Potter series is the best-selling series that also considers females witches. The males are wizards or warlocks, but not witches.